We are going to be talking about turbidity, and our two water samples today is distilled water and water from the fish tank in Miss Wallace's room, Gus. So I've already poured the first sample, this is distilled water, into the sample container. We are going to be using a turbidity sensor that I've already set up. And we're just going to compare the differences between the two turbidities, and then we're going to talk more about it. So I'm going to go ahead and place the turbidity sample of distilled water in, and what we want to do is we want to line this arrow up with the arrow that is in here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. And then I'm going to close it. And what we're going to do is we are going to watch the turbidity sensor. And because it is distilled, it should be roughly about 0. There should be no floating particles of any kind in distilled water. So this is a good reading. Now, my next sample is going to be that of Gus's fish tank. And that one we should see a difference because, as we know, in a fish tank, particles of food and or feces can be left as long as in the tank. So here's Gus's water, and we're just going to fill it up until that line there. Perfect. I'm going to screw the cap on, and again, I'm going to line that triangle and arrow up with the one inside the sensor. Okay, I'm going to place that on there, and I'm going to wait for the reading. So the reading for the Gus's water reads 24.4, and that is the turbidity level in his tank. So this all leads us to the question of why is turbidity important? So it is important because it is the indicator of the amount of suspended sediment in water. This can have negative effects on aquatic life. Because it can block the sunlight from reaching like different seaweeds and stuff in the water. It makes it hard for fish to see, and on the recreational side, it makes like lakes and different bodies of water less popular for humans to use for activities such as swimming, boating, and stuff like that. So what it can also do is that because of the amount of sediment in it, it can carry contaminants to aquatic life and potentially infect different fish and animals and organisms living in it. So it is important, that's why our drinking water, which is why we have distilled water, it should have about 0 to 0.2 amount of sediment, because you don't want to be drinking contaminants. Sometimes these contaminants aren't always visible, which is why this turbidity sensor is important to see that while the fish tank water looked like clearish, there was clearly stuff in it. And because it is a fish tank, it all just kind of circles in there. So there's fish feces, fish food, any other things that would have fallen into the tank.